Hi everyone! Today I'm going to talk about the new features of version 4.4.0 of MindExpress. And first of all, I'm going to talk about the animated GIF support that is completely new. Let me show you how we do this. So first of all, if I go to my editor and I have an animated GIF selected from my media library, like over here, you will see immediately that it is animating in the preview area. So I have several animated GIFs in my media library, and as soon as I select it, you will see that the animation will start playing. So you have a good idea of what the animation is doing. Okay. Now also notice that I've given this cell an ID with the ID dancer. Okay. Now by default, an animated GIF will play as soon as you select the cell, and it will play the animation only once. So as soon as the animation is done, it will stop. Now, of course, there are other options in MindExpress to do more with your animated GIF, and one of those is you can play the animated GIF continuously, like this. So it will keep on dancing in this case. And I can also pause my animation and then continue again. Now, how is this done? If we have a look at how this cell is programmed, you will immediately see that under the change cell actions, there is now the option to pause, play once, and stop an animated GIF. In this case, I would have selected play, and I would say, okay, play the cell with ID dancer. And the same here, I've said pause the cell with ID dancer. Okay, so as soon as I press it, the animation will play. If I press pause, the animation will pause. So you have several options to manipulate the animated GIF this way. But remember, as a default, select the animated GIF cell and it will start playing only once. Good. Another new option is the wait for sound action. And I've programmed it under this button. You will see that if I go to the wait action, there is now an extra option that says wait for sound to finish. Now let's have a look at this action list. What is this going to do? First of all, I'm saying, okay, start playing the cell with ID dancer. So this is going to animate my animated GIF continuously. Then I'm playing a WAV file, a sound file. And then I'm saying wait for sound to finish. So this will actually wait for all the actions that follow to be executed until all sound, and with all sound I mean text-to-speech and sound action, not music and video. Okay, so it's only for TTS and sound, and this action will wait for all that sound to finish. So in this case, it will wait for the soul music file to stop playing. As soon as it stops, we're going to stop the dancer from animating, and we will also increase a counter over here that will count how many times we have danced. Okay, so it's just going to add 1 to the label. Okay, so let's try that. So as soon as I press this button, you can there you go. So as soon as the music stops, we have stopped the animation and we have increased the number by 1. So this is a very interesting option when you're creating, for example, games, exercises where you have to really wait for sound to stop playing. Then this is an interesting option to have. So it's under wait and then wait for sound to finish. Here you go. Okay, then another new feature is, I'm going to show it here, is that you can now scroll through your label text. Sometimes you have a label that is just too long for a cell. For example, when you have some sort of explanation, you could have an email cell, You could have like an SMS cell where there's just too much text to show in the available space of the cell. In that case, you now have the possibility to scroll up and down a label. So I've added an up and down arrow here, and you can see that I'm able to scroll through my label this way, up and down. Now, how is this done? I've given my cell an ID, explanation. I have a button here that says scroll up label, cell with ID, explanation. And this is under the change cell action. So you've seen before that we have added the animated GIF functions, but you also have scroll options now. Scroll down, scroll to the end of a label, scroll to the home of a label, and scroll up a label. Okay, so if you add these actions, and obviously this is a scroll down label, so if I click it, I can scroll through a label this way. Okay, it's not for everyone, but sometimes it's really handy when you have like a big lump of text that you want to see or want to look at, then this is handy. And especially if you have, like, for example, email cells or other cells where there's just too much text, then you can use these options. Good. Okay, let's have a look at something else. I'm going to open a new file. In this new version, there's also support for the PCS High Contrast symbols, the ones you see here, and the PCS thin line symbols. Now, the high contrast symbols, there are about 1,500, and for the thin lines, there are about 5,500 new symbols. Now, if we have a look, you will see that there is a new symbol set, in fact, which is called PCS High Contrast, and you also have the PCS thin line. And you need to install it separately. If you do a standard install, if you install MindExpress with the latest CD, then you will get them automatically. If not, you can go to these two URLs to go and download them and add them to your current version. So if you update MindExpress, they will not be automatically added. You need to add them yourself by going to this link and running the installer that is located there. Okay, but we've had several requests for PCS high contrast symbols, and they are now supported. Good. Then I just want to show you two new things in the scanning options. And the first one is if you have an advanced method of tap switch 1 and a select method of tap switch 2, then if you go to preferences, you will see that there is a new option called automatic first step. Now, this is selected by default, and this is the old behavior of MindExpress. What happens is if I start scanning, my first cell is automatically highlighted. So it's doing an automatic first step. So the user can immediately select this cell or can just continue. The same, if I select a cell, you will see that the first cell is immediately highlighted. Now, by disabling the option automatic first step, this will no longer be the case. So if I now go to scanning, nothing's highlighted. So first I have to do a step myself, and then the first cell is highlighted. Now, for example, this is interesting if you do auditory scanning, because you don't always want the first cell to be highlighted when you selected the cell. So if I select the cell, now nothing's highlighted. And as soon as I press my step switch, the first cell's highlighted. Okay, so that's a new option. So under scanning selection, preferences, automatic first step. Now, there's also a small change when you do automatic stepping. Then if you, for example, pause your scanning after a number of rounds or after you selected a cell, Then, so let's do that. If I do scanning now, it will start stepping.
Cupcake.
Like this. If I select the cell, then it's pausing, but it's not pausing on the first cell. It used to pause on the first cell, but not anymore. So you first have to press the switch, and then it will start stepping through your cells. Now again, with auditory scanning, this is the best option because you don't want the first cell to be highlighted and to have it spoken already when you're pausing. So, and this is just a default option now. So if you do a pause after a number of rounds or after you've selected the cell, it will not highlight the first cell. It will wait until you press the switch, and then it will start stepping, and will start stepping with the first cell or the first group of your communication board. Okay, that concludes the overview of new features of MindExpress 4.